Get out, paying bills doesn't make you family, my dad snapped across the Thanksgiving table. My mom leaned closer, her lips curling in that familiar sneer. You're just jealous of your brother. I smiled, calm as ice, and replied, then let him pay the $9,600. That night, I shut everything down. By morning, there were cops, tears, and chaos. My name is Rachel, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Sometimes the people who raise you can also be the ones who cut you deepest. I grew up in a family where love had a price tag. My dad adored my brother Jason. He was the golden child, handsome, reckless, always full of potential. My mom enabled it. She called him her miracle baby, even when he was 32, unemployed, and still crashing in my parents' basement. Me. I was the quiet one. I studied hard, got into college on scholarships, and worked 2 jobs just to stay afloat. I built a career in finance, moved into my own condo, and kept paying my bills on time. You'd think that would earn me respect. Instead, it earned me responsibility. Responsibility my parents gladly piled on me. It started small. A utility bill here. Groceries there. We'll pay you back, sweetheart, Mom would say with that sweet voice that never matched her actions. But the money never came back. Before long, I was paying the mortgage, then the medical bills when Dad had his surgery, then Jason's, car payments because he'd forgotten again. Each month, $9,600 vanished from my account to keep that house standing. $9,600, nearly half my salary. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself it was family. But deep down, I knew. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as an ATM. That Thanksgiving, I told myself it would be different. I'd show up, share a meal, and try to keep the peace. I even baked Mom's favorite pecan pie, even though I knew she'd compare it to the one Jason's girlfriend brought. The house smelled of roasted turkey and buttered rolls. When I walked in, Jason was already there, sprawled on the couch with a beer in hand, bragging about some big business deal he was working on. Mom sat beside him, glowing with pride, as if he'd just won the Nobel Prize. Rachel, Dad said when he saw me. His tone was flat, more like he was acknowledging the mail had arrived. Hi, Dad. I set the pie down, forcing a smile. Dinner began, and the familiar routine unfolded. Jason talked. My parents listened. I served dishes, refilled glasses, cleared plates. Every time I tried to join the conversation, Dad would cut me off, redirecting back to Jason's latest fantasy career. Halfway through, Jason raised his glass. Here's to family, he slurred. The people who always have your back. I nearly choked on my wine. Always have your back? Jason hadn't even paid for his own phone bill in years. That's when Dad snapped. Rachel, he said loudly, slamming his fork down. You think you're better than your brother, don't you? Just because you make a little money? I froze. The room went silent except for the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the corner. Dad, I don't. Deny it, he barked. You've been acting high and mighty. But paying bills doesn't make you family. It doesn't make you important. Mom leaned in, her voice dripping with venom only I could hear. You're just jealous of Jason. You always have been. Something inside me snapped. I looked at them, then at Jason, who was smirking into his mashed potatoes like he'd won some game. I set my fork down carefully and smiled. Then let him pay the $9,600. Silence. Pure, suffocating silence. What are you talking about? Jason muttered. I leaned back in my chair. The mortgage, the utilities, the medical bills, the car payments, the groceries, $9,600 every month. Since you're the real family, Jason, you can take it over. Dad's face turned crimson. Mom's lips parted in shock. Jason looked like I'd just spoken a foreign language. And me? For the first time in years, I felt calm. I finished my wine, stood up and said, "Dinner was lovely. Happy Thanksgiving." That night, I went home and shut everything down. My accounts, the auto payments, the credit lines I'd opened in my name to keep them afloat. By morning, chaos would come knocking. The next morning, my phone buzzed before sunrise. 20 missed calls, 10 angry voicemails. The first was Dad, his voice booming through the speaker. "Rachel, the mortgage payment bounced. The bank's calling me." "What the hell did you do?" Then Mom's tearful message. "Sweetheart, there must be some mistake. The lights went out. We can't get through to the electric company. Please fix it, okay?" And finally, Jason's voice, furious and slurred. "You selfish witch. You think you can just walk away? You owe us. You owe this family." I sat in bed, sipping my coffee, and listened to every single word. For years, I had been the one scrambling, panicking, fixing every little disaster. Now it was their turn. By mid-morning, the chaos had escalated. The power was out. The internet was cut. The water shut off. Their credit cards, ones I had secretly been paying the minimums on, were declined at the grocery store. And then came the cops. Apparently, Jason had tried to use my old credit line at the gas station. When it declined, he cursed out the clerk, and the police were called. That's when everything started unraveling. The officer checked the account holder's name, mine, and realized Jason had been fraudulently using my cards for years. By noon, there were squad cars outside my parents' house. I didn't go there immediately. No. I let them stew in the panic for a few hours. I went for a long walk, bought myself a new coffee maker, even treated myself to a nice lunch. Freedom tasted incredible. Finally, around 4 p.m., I drove to the house. The moment I pulled up, I saw Jason pacing in the driveway, his face pale and sweaty. Mom was on the porch, sobbing into her apron. Dad was arguing with 2 officers, his arms flailing wildly. When they saw me, the scene shifted. "There she is," Dad shouted. "That's her, the one who cut us off. Arrest her." One of the officers turned to me calmly. "Ma'am, are you Rachel?" "Yes," I said. He nodded. "We've reviewed the accounts. Everything is in your name. You're not under investigation here. But your brother..." He glanced at Jason. "May have some explaining to do." Jason exploded. "This is all your fault." He lunged toward me, but the officer stepped in, holding him back. I looked at Dad, at Mom, at Jason, and for the first time I didn't feel fear. I felt power. "You said paying bills doesn't make me family," I said softly. So I stopped. Simple as that. Mom's face crumpled. "Rachel, please. You can't do this to us." "Do what?" I asked. "Stop being your personal bank? Stop sacrificing everything while Jason wastes his life?" "No, Mom. I can do this. And I am." Dad tried one last time. "You're disowned, Rachel. You hear me? You're no daughter of mine." I smiled. "That's fine, Dad, because I already disowned you last night." The officers led Jason toward the patrol car. Mom sobbed. Dad cursed. And me? I turned, walked back to my car, and drove away, finally free. In the weeks that followed, the house went into foreclosure. The utilities remained cut off. Jason picked up community service hours for fraud. Mom called me endlessly. I blocked. Her number, I bought myself a small mountain cabin, paid for in full, and decorated it exactly the way I wanted. Quiet, peaceful, mine. Sometimes when I sit by the fire with a glass of wine, I think back to that Thanksgiving. To the moment Dad snapped, "Paying bills doesn't make you family." He was right. It doesn't. But shutting them out? That finally made me free. And that's how my dad disowned me, only for me to disown them back. They thought I was their safety net forever. But sometimes, the best revenge is simply walking away, calm, powerful, and untouchable.